Hello and welcome to New Filmmakers Los Angeles in partnership with Movie Maker magazine. My name is Danny DeLillo and we're here at the South Park Center and I'm here with Jim Vendiola with his movie, Library Hours. Let's take a look at the clip.
I want to know your darkest secret.
I can show you. Sleep with it under your pillow, and you'll always dream about me. I have a confession. Last month, I came into town. I showed up at your door.
Jim, thank you very much for being here and coming all the way from Chicago to be here.
Yeah,
we
thanks
appreciate
for having
it.
me. Of course.
We loved your film, but for those that haven't seen it, tell us the brief synopsis.
Thanks. Yeah, Library Hours is sort of this unconventional romance about a woman sort of striking this long-distance courtship up with, she's a recent widow and she begins a courtship with the woman who was the first wife of her now dead husband.
And it's a real amazing story it takes and quite a lot of twists and turns in there as well. Where did the inspiration come for you in making this project?
You know, I was thinking about this idea of making like an anti-Tinder film in terms of like just sort of the immediate gratification of a dating app like that. And, you know, what if I went full swing in the other direction and made an epistolary where there's like this very prolonged courtship and like very palpable yearning. And so I was sort of pondering that, and I also like the idea of doing a movie where at least half of what the viewer sees in the plot may or may not just be feeding into a larger role play between the two characters.
Yeah, I love that. You kind of left us wanting more. Yeah, that was one of those films where I was like, wow, I'm so into this particular story and the twists and the turns, and you kind of, I felt left us almost open-ended, even not knowing what potentially could be coming next after as well, which I loved. Now you had a very talented cast. Tell us more about how you brought the cast together.
Yeah, so because this film does deal with bondage, specifically shibari rope bondage, I wanted to cast someone who really knew what they were doing, and so that's what led me to Cam Damage, who is an alternative fetish model, and she's quite popular on the web, and my girlfriend had previously worked with her in a fine art photography capacity. She shot her as a model a couple times, and so it was an easier introduction than some like, you know, strange person she didn't know, you know, some disembodied voice on the internet asking her to be in a shibari film. So yeah, she was on board for that, and we had originally cast someone else in the part of Delphine, who's played by Melissa Vento, who we had to let go a week before. Like, she just ended up getting super sick, and that was unfortunate, but Melissa stepped in and was just like, she's just so great like that, you know, with like maybe less than a week's worth of prep.
Wow. Now, how do you direct a kind of film like this? And obviously you've got to have that real trust. I mean, obviously you have a person there that was, you know, kind of experienced in that kind of field, but how do you direct that, and how was that experience for you?
Yeah, sure. No, I mean, obviously in our current climate, it's, you know, we become more and more aware of like these sort of unethical behaviors in film, regardless of whether or not the content is sensitive. So, you know, obviously you want to make sure that everybody is comfortable and the communication is obviously there, and you know, it's something you check in on the people about, especially in the more intimate scenes, even though it's not a super graphic film. You just want to make sure people are all on the same page before you know, you kind of move forward with anything. And obviously that happens, you know, in the scripting and the casting as well. You want to look for people that are, you know, aware of what the demands are.
And trust you as a director as well, obviously. You had this really cool set. I love, like, you know, it was really quite fascinating. And sort of obviously when the scenes where they were very intimate together. It was just a beautiful thing. What was you kind of going for in terms of looking for your set, and kind of how was that? Because the way you even pan the camera, it was all very, very interesting.
During the actual Shibari scene?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was just a location that we were able to acquire in a larger event space called the Joinery. They're actually executive producer on the film, and so they're this sort of up-and-coming, pretty popular event space in Chicago, and you know, they were able to sort of shut down and allow us to film there for several days, and that's one of the rooms in the space that we were able to shoot that scene.
What I love that was last night you was explaining about, you know, how much you learned from making this particular project, and how you wanted to take more of an emotional standpoint, and you recognize that even in this film, and how you want to move in your filmmaking forward. Tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, no, I think the goal is always to sort of grow as an artist, and then, you know, with every project you sort of have these best laid plans and end up maybe growing in unexpected ways, like something doesn't work out or something works out incredibly well, and you learn from that. And I think even though I typically make genre films, and a genre film with sort of like a bondage exoskeleton, I think is presumably immediately an exploitative thing, and I just didn't want to do that. Especially in terms of selling it as like a valid romance. You see something like a 50 Shades of Grey, which I had like a very strong reaction to prior to making this movie, because I felt like it was problematic in terms of how it represented the BDSM community, and like the idea of affirmative consent was not really there. And it was startling to see that, so I kind of wanted to do something different again that sort of had more of an emotional center than like sort of the bells and whistles of like sort of trying to ride this silly shock value of, you know, the fact that people are kinky. Like, it's not news anymore. And
I think what's nice when you're a filmmaker that's also thinking it's outside the box as well. And you know, when you're bringing this into, you know, film festivals, and it's here at NewFilmmakers LA, what's it like having your film there in front of a big audience, and what's that feeling like for you as a filmmaker?
Yeah, no, it's always exhilarating, you know, and when you sit down and start conceptualizing and writing something, these moments like last night feel so far in the distance, and it feels like I mean, there's no other feeling like it, you know, this level of people actually seeing the thing that was just like a seed in your head 2 years prior. It's super rewarding.
And you know, when you are making a film that, you know, maybe brings people to light of certain ways of living and certain relationships, like, what's the thing you wanted your audience to get from in making this particular film?
Yeah, you know, I don't really want to say relatability. I know that's kind of like a buzzword now, and it's not really always a valid application, because I mean, we don't always need to find things relatable to have some emotional reaction to it, right? But I do think there is this idea of normalization in my film that sort of takes something that you know, historically was potentially taboo, but also frame it in a context that we all understand. The idea of the viewer then understands that on some level it's about human connection. And it's relatable in that way, but it's also, I mean, who hasn't been in a relationship where, you know, you want to please your partner? That's how, you know, we grow and adapt, and I think figure out who we, you know, with whom we're compatible.
No, it's very good. What's next for you?
I am developing a feature film that is a supernatural murder mystery. It's called Homesick. And it's about a woman who experiences a traumatic event. This young art student, and following that, like in the aftermath, she starts having visions of a murder that occurred a couple decades before, and so it's kind of this amateur detective story of, you know, trying to figure out what the connection is, and, you know, why she's having these like really vivid visions that are basically like destroying her waking life.
Wow.
So
Well, Jim, what I love is you always take us on a journey, which is great, and I can't wait to watch this this feature as well.
Thank you.
But congratulations on Library Hours, and we're looking forward to seeing much more of your projects. So thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, Jim, everybody.